abandoned in the frozen wilderness by his own mother, and forced to survive on nothing but his own innate abilities, the deformed child, derogatorily named the Grinch by those of the ice forest, would grow up in utter solitude, believing he deserved the punishment that was his life. When he finally encountered people for the first time though, he came to realize something else. In their so-called time of acceptance and giving, they rejected him. He resolved that their preaching of acceptance while casting out any unlike them must be stopped. They did not deserve a festival built on lies and prejudice, and he would be the one to deprive them of it. But there was only one way to do this, the Grinch concluded. He must kill the one the townspeople worshipped, but to do this he would need help. He would need an army. No, he would need a family. Gods had begun. Humanity had all players deep and challenging, with different is less likely to get me horribly Over and over the Grinch would try to steal away the winter holiday from the people of Terraria, and every time he failed. Even when he did manage to take their presents and decorations, they would still come together, celebrating even when they had nothing. Slowly he came to learn that the festivities were not driven by material possessions, but by an idea. He realized that if he wanted to destroy the season, he would have to destroy the people's spirit. His own mother had done this for years with her unending attacks, but every time the celebrations continued. To truly put an end to the holiday, he would have to remove the symbol for it. The one they all seemed to worship at this time of year, the one they prayed to, made effigies of. He would have to kill the one known as Santa Claus. Despite their familiarity with him, apparently no one had ever actually met or even seen this Lord of Winter. Well, no one that was, other than the Ice Queen. During her campaign to raise an army, she had travelled to the cold lands far to the north, and enslaved a great number of the elven tinkerers, a people who once served Santa himself. While there, amongst the carnage she proceeded to cause, the Queen caught glimpse of an old man as he was ushered away to safety. On that day she could have easily ended his life, but deemed him ultimately unimportant to her plans. Her son, on the other hand, took a different view. The Grinch decided it was time that he reunited with his mother and take the knowledge she possessed, by force if he needed to. Her army was formidable, however, and he would need one of his own if he were to come to blows with her. To this end, deep within the icy waste he had grown up in, he began building a legion of snowmen, a legion he would bring to life with his inherited cryomancy. For years he would go on to drill his legion in combat, coming to think of them as a family, but it was no ordinary family, it was the Grinch's twisted idea of one. As part of their training, the living snowmen raided local towns, shaking down their occupants and taking clothes and weapons to furnish themselves with. At last the time came when the Grinch would approach the Krampus's forest, home of his mother, with his new family at his back. But when he arrived, something most unexpected happened. The Ice Queen did not attack him, or even send him away, but seeing what he had made of himself, expressed pride in her son, and regretted ever leaving him. She gladly told him the location of the elven lands, but insisted that he join her campaign instead, promising they could be a family once more. The Grinch had already found his family though, and a destiny he would achieve at all costs, but as he would soon come to learn, his ambitions would indeed cost him everything. Travelling to the northern lands, the Frost Legion laid waste to the elven towns, just as the Ice Queen had years before, and despite their best efforts, just like before, their target slipped through their fingers. Santa had again escaped. Enraged by his legion's failure, he declared open war against Terraria, vowing to find the King of Winter, and finally put an end to his insipid holiday season. The Legion marched into towns and villages, roughing up locals for information and valuables, all the time growing ever more bloodthirsty, until it came to the point where they no longer desired to follow the wishes of their creator and master. On one fateful night, when members of the Legion returned from pillaging, the Grinch attempted to extract any information they had gained, but instead of telling him, they began beating him, and continued to do so until his body lay lifeless in the cold snow. The Legion were now free of the Grinch's control, and could do what they pleased, but all they desired was to harm and steal, which they continued to do for a very long time. They had no desire to destroy the festive season, or even punish the townsfolk. They merely wished to terrorize, simply because they could. Even so, during this time, Santa remained in hiding, unable to gift the world with the presents he and his elven tinkerers once made. That was until the Legion marched into the village built by the champion of Terraria. As with all others who faced the hero, the Legion at last fell, and Santa was able to emerge from exile, taking up residence in the safety of the champion's town. As would soon be discovered though, the terror of the Legion was not over, for before his demise the Grinch had taught them how to self-replicate, and even now, out in the vast cold wastes, the Legion rises once more. As for the Grinch, his story was not over either, for upon seeing the uncontrolled rampaging Legion, the Ice Queen quickly travelled to her son's home. Upon finding his corpse, she shed a single icy tear for him. Utilizing the power of the forest, she did for him as her Krampus had once done for her. She granted life to him, but in an effort to undo all the years of loneliness he had felt in the wastes, she reverted his body and mind to that of a child, so that she may raise him as she should have to begin with. In one last act to try and protect her son, she bound his essence to a relic of her old life, a single ornate whistle, so that if she ever lost him again, all she need do was blow the whistle and he would return. It must be a sort of cosmic irony then, that this very whistle would be stolen away from her during her attacks on the towns of Terraria, ensuring that she would never see her son again. As it is though, it may be that the Grinch would become a better person than he ever could have been as he grows up alongside the champion of Terraria, or it could be that wickedness and cruelty are ingrained into his very being. For now, the creature once abandoned and forgotten about has a new start in life, and may end up becoming whatever he wishes to be it for better or worse. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and want to support the channel, then please consider subscribing and hit that bell so that YouTube might possibly inform you when a new video comes out. If you want to go that bit further, please feel free to support the channel on Patreon or go and buy some merchandise on Spreadshirt and Teespring. Links are all down in the description. Other than that, have a great day and I'll see you next time.